Now, buddy, this right in front of us is quite the Airbusian cockpit. It turns out that flight simulation has come a long way. After all, this right here, the Ursa Minor airline joystick by Winwing, €61. The A320 glare shield, €300. The Airbus MCDU by Winwing, which is €130, as well as the new Winwing throttle that just came out, €233. Never before have we been able to set up an Airbus cockpit for a relatively cheap price. But in the depths of the Chinese Winwing hardware store, we can see more and more things coming along. And everybody, I am really liking what I see here. Some new packages by Winwing. Now for pre-order is available the Winwing ECAM and the Winwing AGP metal, which obviously is like the landing gear and stuff like that, and like a tie, like a current, I don't know, maybe that's gonna be useful, I don't know. It's all right here, and let's take a look at this new thing. You know, maybe in like a year or so, this whole desk will be a A320 cockpit. Who knows? Anyway, they lent me these two new products here to review them and to take a look at them. So let's go ahead and see. What does a $57 ECAM display look like? We can unbox it here, right here. Okay. Obviously, we have a relatively... Oh, come on. Maybe not the best special packaging in the... That was a guitar. All right, let's go ahead and there we go. The ECAM display. Look at this. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, this feels like kind of the same product as this one, if you've ever touched. The autopilot panel by Winwing, this feels kind of the same. We have plasticky switches. They feel nice to touch. I really like to do that. And as you can see, we have a spring-loaded emergency cancel button. But that's pretty much all that is to this. Of course, it's all connected via USB-C. In the box, we have some tools to put this thing connected to the other Winwing stuff if you wanted to. And of course, also a USB Type-C cable. Look at that. Now, the ECAM display is probably supposed to sit on your desk a little bit, something like that. So it's a bit elevated here, kind of on an angled platform, sort of. So the USB-C cable is, of course, angled as well. And that makes sense. And then you can put it like this. And this kind of has the same idea of like maybe like a stream deck or something. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, setting up device. Now to get this thing to work, we just open the SimApp Pro app right here. As you can see, the ECAM display works just as well as the other stuff. So we can test stuff. So for example, turn on all the lights. Yep, that, as you can see, works. And it has this very nice amber-ish color. And of course, things work. You can test the hardware quite well. You can make the backlight lighter. There's, of course, a backlight that you can see. And they're probably synchronized with the flight sim. Now, as you can see, there's buttons that don't even have anything on them, though they are usable. And this is probably quite helpful for flying airplanes from Airbus that are not the A320 series. I mean, whereas, for example, all A320s and A340s have this kind of setup that we have here as well. The A350, for example, does look a lot different. So we have like extra buttons that we can, I guess, assign as well if we wanted to. Now, especially for the early bird price, for $57, unless you're like in the United States where it's quite a lot more expensive because of the tariffs, it's totally all right of a product, I think, though it's not like that much cheaper than models we've had before. For example, this is by Sim Gauges, which costs $200. Yes, that's a lot more expensive, but we also have an ECAM brightness control, which probably I wouldn't really ever use anyway. I really wouldn't need those, to be honest, other than they look cool. But yeah, definitely not a bad product at all. I wonder how it works. But anyway, let's get to the very interesting bit. Of course, let's set that aside. Onto my this is, I'm sorry, this is not really a sim-suitable desk either. Look at that. Anyway, let's unbox this. That's what I'm looking for. The AGP metal. Apparently, it's supposed to be made out of metal. USB-C. Oh, I will need that later. And here's some more screws that we might just need. Let's put those aside. And here is some more things. Okay, this is where it gets quite interesting. Definitely one of the parts we will need in every flight is, of course, the auto brake button. And that, let's go and remove this. As you can see, we have the chronometer, or we can have a peel off moment. Yeah, that wasn't super satisfying. But something that is satisfying is the button. For example, the auto brake button goes down really, really nicely. And this is the first time Winwing makes a product that has one of those classic Airbus buttons. You know what I mean? That press down quite a lot. That's nice. That's terrain. Now the nose wheel steering, to turn that off and on, it has one of those nice switches that you have to pull up in order to actually move, and that feels great, I do have to say. Brake fan, of course, as well. Now, of course, USB-C, but there's an extra thing right here. What could that be? Of course, it lays right here, the landing gear lever, and that one is really important. So far, despite me using this Airbus cockpit, I've been putting up the landing gear by pressing G. So that is definitely changing now. Let's go ahead and unboxiate this as well. And yes, this thing is called metal because the core base is metal. The landing gear lever itself is metal and it feels nice. Because in order to actually, move the landing gear up and down, we have to pull on it. There we go. And then it gets nicely into place, and this feels great. Sure, the panel itself, the cover here, is made out of plastic, just as much as this one is, but like the core thing is, okay, this one is actually almost fully plastic, but the gear's made out of metal, and that's like full metal here. Oh, well. Now, how are these two married to each other? I guess it's explained in here. Honestly not. Bro, this is metal part. I think we can, let me just try to set this up. The thing is, Winwing always gives us all the tools. Sure, we should be able to somehow, yeah, I know what to do. You know what I mean? We can then screw through this and then screw it together. Go into plan. Now what I want to do is put it in like this. I want to have it like this picture. All right, so here we go. In the future, I'll have to find a way to properly mount this right here on, make it vertical. But just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to put it all, the whole product ranges in one spot right here so you can see nicely what's going on. Anyway, same thing here. We connect this interesting proprietary plug. There we go. Now the landing gear is connected, as well as, of course, the USB Type-C. Put right here. Look at that. All right, so that's what this looks like. Now, once again, it's supposed to be kind of vertical like this. I'm gonna find a better way to put this. Anyway, plug it in. Yes, and we can see it is coming to life. Very good. Now, something we can unfortunately never really take for granted. By the way, this is $116. That's pretty good for this kind of panel. But something we can never really take for granted in the flight sim world indeed is plug-and-playness. The idea that you only need to download and run the software and then it all works. But this is kind of the thing here with Winwing. All we need to do is open the Sim App Pro. And as you can see, this already works. We can see, yeah, that button makes something. That does something as well. Very good. Of course, landing gear button also works, so that's quite nice. Sure, we can already test stuff. Yeah. Look at that green light. Put the LCDs on, ladies and gentlemen. That is good. Let's just go and launch a Flight Sim 2020 and see if it works. I don't know. Okay, Flight Sim is loaded up. Let's go ahead and load into the classic Phoenix A320. Okay, let's go ahead and press ready to fly. Okay, it's loading up. And yes, this thing is doing what I expect it to be doing. As you can see, all the displays are off. Everything is off. But something that is nice that I can already see that it's working automatically. For example, I didn't have to do anything. As you can see, this does something, this does something. Even the nose wheel steering works, as well as, of course, the landing gear knob. Let's go ahead and turn on this airplane and see if that does something. Turn on the battery right there. External power on. Yeah. And this is very nicely synchronized, as you can tell already. The clock already worked. As you can see, it synchronizes the autopilot panel, of course, out of the box. And we can see our UTC time. That's actually quite handy that we can tell the time from here. Now, we could actually already, set the chronometer on. We can start the stopwatch. That already works nicely. Reset this, auto brake. We can put that into, probably doesn't work just yet. Well, it tries to switch it. We can turn on the brake fan. No, we can't. Oh, we can. Never mind. And actually, it turns on as well. Of course, something that's operative already is the ECAM display, as well as the ECAM buttons that we can press. We can switch into engine mode. Bleed, pressurization, that works. And the emergency cancel light lights up. We can cancel the alerts. Yes. So that all works out of the box. AP, that is perfect. No, this works. out of the box. Now, we can maybe get ready for a flight. Turn on the maximum brakes right here and just go full power into these engines right here. Maybe set the flap to like 1 and go take off now. Release the parking brake. Okay. And we've got some alarms. This is a very poorly done takeoff. All I really want to do is actually do the takeoff. And now that we've got positive climb here on the A320, we can put the landing gear up. Let's do that right there. Looking good. As you can see, the gear is unlocked. All works just as expected. You know, after all, this is a really, really nice addition and really makes your cockpit look more and more grandiose. I really like how this is working now, especially once again without having to set up anything else. I like the feel of this. This is definitely not fully made out of metal. You know, don't forget. But this is a really nice addition to the flight sim. Definitely Swiss 001 approved. That's all I can say. Now we're overspeeding. Put up the flaps. Now, this definitely wouldn't be the first item to, buy if I were, starting off in the flight sim world. I'd sooner, of course, start with a joystick or a throttle, or especially the autopilot panel, because that makes quite a difference. Also, I would really like a communications panel to dial in all the frequencies, but that's, I guess, something to come later. But look, finally, a good landing gear lever that works nicely for the Microsoft Flight Sim NX plane as well, of course. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, good night. And special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters: Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Finder, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.